points leader, is now the second in points, but still made it through thanks to his teammate Just Sayin qualifying as well. Languagehacker, one of the seasonal champions. Both of them just hoping to stay alive here.
Right. And remember, a win here doesn't guarantee anything except a chance to stay alive. However, I do want to pull something that someone was telling me before, is that our world champion Miracle Road.
Right.
So we'll go ahead and go into the first game. We have a Control Shaman versus a Control Warrior.
Settle in, everyone, because this will be a while. So here we have Muzzy playing Control Warrior. Muzzy is playing Control Warrior featuring Hecklebot and Archivist Elysiana, so he has the ability to potentially disrupt Languagehacker's plan and go into deep fatigue. Languagehacker's plan, though, is very similar. It's kill all your stuff Control Shaman. That also includes Archivist Elysiana, but he has Shutterwalk. So crucially, Muzzy is not playing Baleful Banker. Muzzy is not playing the young Padarum Brewmaster, Young Brewmaster, Youthful Brewmaster. I always get the name of that card wrong. There's so many Brewmasters, so many different
Millennial
types.
Brewmasters?
Yeah. Craft Beer Specialist.
That's right. Well, Languagehacker has a Sludge Slurper to start things off, and it's already something worth thinking about. You know, it's you don't have that many minions in the Control Shaman list, and a lot of them place a heavy emphasis on Hagatha to go the distance a lot of times in these decks. So I kind of wondered in Languagehacker's mind, like, you know, what's the usefulness of playing this 2-1 when you know Warrior can deal with it super easily versus saving it? But then again, he might run into hand space issues later on.
That's actually one of the very big things. Whenever you're playing a Hagatha deck, you need to be concerned about, or at least aware of, your potential hand space concerns later on. Languagehacker is playing a very spell-heavy version of Control Shaman. He's playing a Thunderhead deck alongside Spirit of the Frog, so he has Lightning Bolt, Zap, Earth Shock, lots of cheap spells that can prevent those hand-size issues coming up in the future, but it's still something just to kind of be aware of. If anything, I actually think the threat of an Acolyte of Pain allowing Muzzy to draw cards off of your Sludge Slurper may be a bigger concern than the sort of hand space issues and Hagatha concerns later on.
It makes sense. I think it really does play a factor, but at the same time, also depends on how soon those hero cards can come online, or whether or not we even get to that fatigue stage. A lot of times I think people underestimate the tempo that can be gained from Dr. Boom Mad Genius to force the issue from Shamans or just other control decks in general. Like, they have to use Hagatha's scheme on maybe 3 minions when they have a lot more ammo to go.
A lot of people sort of have the assumption that they, the Control Warrior games, they always go, Control Warrior mirror matches or Control mirror matches with Elysiana. They always go to the turn timer or whatever. Right. That's not true. And we've seen that bear out in the match just yesterday between Roger and Bloodyface, our final match yesterday, where Bloodyface was able to win simply by killing Roger's life total. Just take it, not even getting close to either player hitting fatigue.
Yeah, and even in the following match, obviously, the Bomb Warrior versus Control Warrior, which ended way earlier than I think a lot of people anticipated to start things off. And I think it just goes to show you the flexibility of this deck, and more importantly, just how we have to start thinking about Control Warrior in different situations. Yes, there's a lot of times that you do want to play defensive and go to fatigue, but you see a lot of players play tempo-oriented things like Youthful Brewmaster on 2, because they recognize the matchup and its difficulty if they try to go late in the game without board presence.
And I think, in this particular matchup, Muzzy is going to be the one who has to end the game. Muzzy is the one who has the onus of going outside of his normal sort of comfort zone in terms of how his deck is intended to function.
Right.
In most matchups, the Control Warrior has inevitability. It gains armor, it kills your things, it plays a Mega Assembly, it plays Dr. Boom, and it ultimately plays Archivist Elysiana and wins in fatigue.
Right.
That's not going to work here because Languagehacker has that plan trumped by having his own Elysiana plus the Shutterwalk to duplicate it. So Muzzy is the one who is going to have to find a way to be the aggressor.
Muzzy picks up the shield block. Very convenient. Just goes ahead and plays it for mana efficiency, realizing that it's not going to be a matchup where it really depends on how fast he draws the fatigue, considering that he has that Archivist Elysiana. Taking a quick scan, doesn't have that Baleful Banker, any other combination to bounce it, but a lot of times you don't really need that. In fact, I really like his double inclusion of Ironbeak Owl. I'm not sure how relevant it is in this matchup.
Well, if Muzzy runs into, say, Roger, Roger's mech lineup, and Muzzy did say, well, if people are going to be actually, it wasn't Muzzy, it was Killin' All Day, who has a similar double silence lineup with his Control Warrior, was saying, well, if people are trying to beat your Control Warrior, it's going to be through something like mechs. He actually said something like Mex or, well, Mex. And that's a situation where having that sound effect is powerful. Similarly, Muzzy's deck has those 2 Heckle bots. That is something which your opponent is trying to play a sort of targeted lineup toward Warrior. Maybe they're playing some sort of combo deck. Maybe they're playing similarly an Elysiana Shutterwalk deck. If Hecklebot hits one of those, it means that Language Hacker in this matchup would not have access to them. And that is another way that Language Hacker could potentially break up that core part of Language Hacker's strategy.
Yeah, this is a fairly important one for Muzzy to win, too. Statistically, Control Warrior has a pretty big edge over Control Shaman, but Muzzy needs every edge he can get because he needs as many chances for his Shaman to get a win. And so, especially if his opponent's Control Shaman gets through, Muzzy needs to win like the mirror. That's like his best chance for his Control Shaman to get an edge in this matchup.
Oh, I actually think Muzzy's Control Shaman is almost unwinnable against Language Hackers. Muzzy's Control Shaman is the one that we saw, the same one we saw Just Saiyan playing, where he went to basically fatigue against A8 and ended up losing that game to basically A8 having stuff to do and his deck being full removal. And Language Hacker felt the same way. He said, I don't think I can lose the Shaman Mirror unless one of my key cards gets Hecklebotted, basically. Right. So I feel like, if anything, that is probably his weakest deck in this lineup overall, and in particular in that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, but in terms of statistics, just before you look at it, like everything else is really bad. So,
sure. Well,
I mean, at this point, we just don't want that. Let that Shaman through. If you're a Muzzy fan, if you're a Language Hacker fan, you want this win pretty badly.
Yeah. And I do think it's important to note, the statistics we are talking about are statistics from ladder.
Right.
And in particular, generally statistics from ladder are, something you need to take with a grain of salt when it comes to tournament play regardless, just given tech decisions. And in particular, in a format as new as this one. This is the first major event using Rise of Shadows, and, there's much less information out there, and many decks differ very significantly in the tournament lineups that players are using compared to what we're seeing on ladder. In particular, Shaman, there's so many different builds of Shaman out there, and even in this tournament. So, what you see as far as the statistics are really unreliable, I think.
Yeah. Language Hacker going for this zap. Curious to see that Muzzy valued that early game board tempo with the Omega Destroyer as opposed to allowing it to get to turn 10, but he has Dr. Boom Mad Genius in hand pretty early on. I think that's going to be really crucial.
Yeah, Muzzy actually has his most important cards in order to be able to win this game. It's Dr. Boom and two Omega Assemblies. He needs to win this game by tempo. He needs to win this game by pressure. Dr. Boom gives him the tempo, and Omega Assembly gives him the resources to actually utilize that tempo from Dr. Boom. Normally, if you don't draw the Omega Assemblies, but you do draw Dr. Boom, you just kind of don't have quite enough. We actually saw that was part of what happened to Bloody Face yesterday. When he was playing, he had Dr. Boom against the Paladin deck, but didn't draw Omega Assembly, and just wasn't able to do anything with it for most of the game. Muzzy, though, he has all the components of that tempo plan that can allow him to take a proactive approach to this game.
Yep, just needs to buy a couple of turns to get to that point until Dr. Boom and make sure that the board doesn't snowball. Thunderhead is a card that can snowball, though. Language Hacker isn't playing anything that leverages it say with Bloodlust in comparison to like A83650, who is playing that. So Muzzy just setting things up for the future, and there isn't really a punish, I believe.
Yeah, there's no oozes in Language Hacker's Shaman list, which means that Muzzy is comfortable that this Super Clutter will just sit here. And I do want to comment a little bit, talk about the plans of each players. Some people may think that the Omega Devastator that Muzzy played last turn was a little bit weird, right? He's playing Control Warrior. His opponent obviously has a lot of removal. Again, given the fact that he has those two Omega Assemblies, he has that Dr. Boom, he is looking to kind of force Language Hacker to use some of his removal early on so that once he is able to get that Dr. Boom online, a lot of that has been expended.
Right.
He's not just able to play the sit back and kill your stuff plan because Language Hacker does have that pairing of Elysiana and Shutterwalk that gives him the fatigue inevitability, as I mentioned before.
And I kind of wonder if, in Language Hacker's mind, if he recognizes that Muzzy's trying to tempo, should he play defensive or should he play more aggressive? He has, a pretty decent amount of damage to Lickums, Thunderheads. He doesn't have any overload now, but if he picks up a little bit more, maybe he can put on an actual pressure plan instead of just kind of letting Muzzy enforce his will, which seems like is going to be the case once Dr. Boom Mad Genius comes online.
It's interesting because not only does he have the pair of Lickums, and maybe he's looking to play around Harrison Jones or his weapon project. I think the fact that Super Collider came down makes him feel more comfortable that there will be at least be weapons projects coming down because Muzzy did just set up that Super Collider for future charges.
Yeah, and a pass from Language Hacker, I wonder if Muzzy just feels comfortable to pass right back, because Language Hacker just didn't really develop. He passes overload turn. He didn't even swing, so it's not like he has to take a defensive measure with his life total. If Language Hacker swung with charge 2 of the Lickum and pressured Muzzy's life total, maybe that warrants him to actually respond. Not that he really could, though. I mean, a lot of his cards are very mediocre in this spot outside of Ziliax. So maybe I think Muzzy passes right back.
I think there will be a lot of players not really doing much, and frankly, I think that Language Hacker is in part looking to utilize the fact that Muzzy's building up a large hand size and would need to play something. We see it is finally time for Muzzy to do something, though. It will be the Eternium Rover comes down, take out the Thunderhead. Hagatha Scheme picked up for Language Hacker. It's normally a bad card against other control decks, but given the dynamic we've mentioned between these two, how Muzzy is going to have to take a tempo position, it's actually fairly important that he picks it up and is able to start ticking that scheme up in order to be able to answer big boards that Muzzy might present in the near future.
Okay. It does make sense, too, because Muzzy has 2 Omega Assemblies. He needs to free up his hand space eventually as well.
Yeah.
So if he's trying to play Dr. Boom, and let's say he even gets the delivery drone and picks up more mechs, and he has Acolyte of Pain, he restricts his hand a lot solely by the fact that he's not going to play Elysiana for a while. Things like Omega Assembly is going to crowd the hand, and he has more card draw.
Yeah.
So I like this use of it. And of course, the upside is, if Language Hacker doesn't deal with it, he's going to run away with the board because that 4-5 was the strongest thing by a pretty significant margin. Language Hacker using Hex on a magnetized minion just kind of goes to show you how much he's respecting that tempo that Muzzy's developing.
Well, there aren't naturally many big threats in the deck, right? The biggest things you're going to be killing are Hecklebots, basically,
right?
Or Archivist Elysiana, and that's not going to come down for many, many more turns.
Oh, that's true. The fact is, Muzzy has a lot of mid-sized minions that don't really seem particularly imposing, but if you piece them together, they get really strong. This is a turn where I think Muzzy's pretty much has Dr. Boom Mad Genius, or if he wants to delay it, and I think most of the time you just want to play it here.
Yeah, you want to get Dr. Boom online usually ASAP to start getting the better hero power for the matchup. Your armor total isn't really what ends up being important here.
Yep.
So I would be somewhat surprised to see Muzzy do something other than Dr. Boom here, simply because it's a great use of 7 mana when you're otherwise not going to be doing very much.
Yeah, watching Muzzy, seems like he kind of reaches for the mouse and pulls his hand back a couple times. I think he's trying to stay disciplined with how fast he's playing, even though I feel like the play seems really obvious in terms of what we expect him to do. And I think this is just to go show
Look at the grin from Language Hacker in the emote. He's like, really? You went almost to the end of the rope to just play Dr. Boom on 7 against me?
Yeah, exactly. I think Muzzy's trying to stay disciplined. Maybe he's even trying to be a little coy and annoy Language Hacker, but this is, or maybe he's just trying to maximize exposure for his new team, Radiance. Say, you know what, I'm trying to get as much minutes.
As many viewable minutes as I could possibly get with this jersey on camera, okay?
Yeah, he's trying to impress his new team. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. This is an elimination match, and you can't lose a single best of 5 from this point on.
I mean, this is the highest pressure situation that many players have been in. Muzzy's been in this position before. He has played for elimination at Worlds last year.
Right.
He lost.
Right.
And I think that the desire to do one better at least is definitely very heavily on his mind. Yeah. And this is a tough matchup for him. Language Hacker, I think, structurally has the advantage in the way that the decks line up.
Yeah.
And I think
pretty big advantage.
Yeah. And he's trying to find whatever way he can to put himself in a better position than he's been in the past.
Absolutely. I think any decimal point of percentage I can give you a slight edge is huge for Muzzy, because Sane was in backstage, was like, yeah, I think we're like a 35-65 underdog when we were prepping last night. I'm like, wow, that is pretty, that means on average he loses every best of 5. So it's it's definitely an uphill climb to say the least. So if Muzzy can do small things like maybe tilt him a little bit with the Dr. Boom play, rope him out, and fatigue him mentally, like these are all the different things that he's going to try to look for if he can't get an edge in game.
All right, well, and now another decision here for Muzzy here. Spring Rocket, I was going to say, I think has to be at least a little bit appealing. He's going to maybe draw with his Acolyte, paying off the Spring Rocket. Getting tricky here, gets to rush it in as well.
It's very cute. You can actually even clear the board. He attacks the if he attacks the healing totem, 0 mana minions can attack if they're forced to with Mass Hysteria and whatnot.
All right, Spirit of the Frog, the draw for Language Hacker. That is his deck's card draw engine.
Love it. I think Spirit of the Frog is criminally underrated.
Oh, that card is so good.
Yes. I remember day one watching Dog stream Malago Shaman, and it's like he zaps, draws a 1-mana spell like Lightning Storm, or Lightning Bolt, and then like plays that and draws like a 2-mana spell, and then just plays that, gets a 3-mana spell, that draws Hex, plays Hex, like draws the Haggis. I'm like, wow, there's just like good spells across the board for Shaman.
Yeah. It's particularly gross with Haunting Visions because you get to sort of double up on everything.
Right. Yes.
All kinds of awesomeness.
Yeah, there is one copy of Haunting Visions in Language Hacker's deck. That being said, I don't think he needs card draw right now. I think he's trying to find a way to actually, ironically enough, craft the master plan against Dr. Boom. And none of this looks really appealing. He has a Zilliax, but that's not going to do anything.
All right. Well, we do see, didn't mention it, but Muzzy's card draw from that Acolyte picked up Hecklebot. And right. Hecklebot is one of the most important cards for him to try to sort of cheese out a win. Language Hacker was saying he feels like he has a huge edge unless Hecklebot hits a key minion. And in this case, Shutterwalk's in the hand. If he can Hecklebot Elysiana here, Muzzy actually has a huge edge.
I mean, there's not many minions in the deck either.
We may see him wait on Hecklebot in order to be able to Hecklebot plus Omega Devastator in the same turn if he does hit a Walking Fountain.
I think the earlier you let it go, the better, though, because you increase or you decrease your chance of hitting the Elysiana the further the game goes, just because they draw more cards.
Yes, it's true.
That being said, Muzzy still might hold on just for a little bit longer, wants more clues, because it's also part of that game where it's still fairly early. And now that I actually evaluate Language Hacker's deck list, it does have a decent amount of minions with the 2 Mossy Horrors, the 2 Spirit of the Frogs, the 2 Sludge Slurpers, even though he's seen 1.
Yeah, and one issue with Language Hacker's deck is that outside of Spirit of the Frog, he doesn't really have any card draw. Some versions of Control Shaman will play Farsight, which digs you deeper into your deck, whereas it can get you anything. Obviously, thinning out your deck with Spirit of the Frog when you are trying to find a particular thing does get you closer to that. But the card that he needs the most right now isn't even the Archivist Elysiana, because he does need to get that eventually. But the card that he needs to pick up as soon as he can is Hagatha, because otherwise he is losing the battle of resources against his opponent's Dr. Boom.
That's where maybe the Spirit of the Frog is going to be really important. Maybe just to thin the deck to get to those minions. But then what's scarier is that if he plays Spirit of the Frog, that makes Muzzy more sure that Language Hacker has a small concentrated pool of minions that he's trying to fish for. Not that it would really affect the Hecklebot because it only can pull minions, but it just gives him stronger clues, in order to get closer to his desired goal.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hecklebot finds not Elysiana.
Yeah, not what he's looking for.
And we did see Muzzy decide to wait that turn until Devastator was active in case he did hit Walking Fountain or Elysiana herself. Now, how to react at this point? He does have the Omega Assemblies online, but he has a lot of cards in hand. So he's going to need to play some things before he fires those off.
Yeah, I think maybe just a tempo plan for now.
And that's his plan, right? That's how he has to win this matchup, is via tempo.
It's a pretty sizable board.
It is.
There's 10 power, and that's just something that puts a pretty significant clock on Language Hacker, so he might have to pull the trigger on some of his removal here.
He's got the scheme.
Yep.
He has been scheming for a bit, but I don't think 8 turns. I think that may be 6.
Should be able to clear it off in any way possible that he wants to combine his resources, though.
Yeah. Oh, that is able to get rid of the board. Spirit of the Frog going to come down, it looks like.
So I think this could be a combination of his overload spells to try to just get all
This
the
implies that he is firing off some action. Go to Lightning Storm with the Frog, finding himself a Hex. And then he has, if he wants, Zap plus Lightning Bolt, which Zap finds Lightning Bolt finds Witch's Brew.
Yeah, Witch's Brew, by the way, with Spirit of the Frog. Super fun if you have a lot of 3-mana
Zap finds
spells.
Earth Shock. And now, now the Lightning Bolt will find a Witch's Brew number 2.
Just like that. Drawing 5 cards while removing the entire board.
And Languagehacker did have the opportunity, if he wanted to use Witch's Brew this turn to heal himself and find Haunting Visions.
Right.
Or Lightning Storm. But is just going to say go. Muzzy, he could clear off this Frog to prevent more card draw, but there's a limit to how much you can actually draw off of this, right? He's just going to play with the Owl. He just wants to make room in his hand for the Omega Assembly. Fires it off. Finds another Devastator, a Clockwork Goblin, and a Galvanizer.
Clockwork Goblin is interesting, just to get a little bit more damage, but we do know Languagehacker can replace his decks, so bombs aren't very effective against Archivist Elimination decks. It will replace your deck with 10 discovered cards.
For a master plan.
Or 5, rather, times 2.
Galvanizer comes down.
Yeah, I think Muzzy might just be on the hero power phase, just like play aggressively plan. Like, force your opponent to heal, spend his turns healing. He is also overloaded for 3, it looks like. Or 4, because he's zapped as well.
Right, yeah. And Muzzy knows for a fact that Languagehacker does have Hex, Brew in hand, because those are the only 4 and 2 casting cost cards in the deck. So he has a hard read on a significant portion of Languagehacker's hand.
Reactive game plan here for Muzzy.
And scheme number 2, that is, again, pretty decent card for Languagehacker to be picking up here, thanks to the fact that he is going to be playing defense against Muzzy's minions coming off of those assemblies. It is a little bit late, though. It may not have enough time to tick up. Languagehacker does have room to brew once, but the second brew, I believe he will not get the card from Frog because of, we can count this out, he got 4, he got 9 right now, right? So he brews once, so he gets the repeatable copy, not Echo, and the Haunting Visions. If he were to brew again, he would lose the brew. Not that he would play it again. I was just forgetting which happened first.
Yeah, it's definitely tricky because of the sequencing.
Right. All right, gets a Big Bad Voodoo, another brew.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, so he does.
Yep. And he gets a 0-cost Witch's Brew, gets the Lightning Bolt. So these are like really important technical plays for Languagehacker to squeeze out every single possible draw. And more importantly, sequence it so that way he doesn't draw for his 10th card and burn his Elysiana by accident. Yep. That'd be an absolute disaster.
And now we see, this is a matchup, as we mentioned earlier, can definitely go to fatigue both players. 8 cards left, but of course, Elysiana remaining for both of them. Muzzy's in hand, Languagehacker still waiting in the deck.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if maybe somewhere in the back of his mind, Muzzy is thinking about turning into a draw. Because under the draw rules here in the World Championship, if these 2 players go to the turn limit, then they both get a win with this deck.
Correct. Yeah, so and that is the case outside of final game in a match.
Right.
So
if it was 2-2, it'd be a different scenario.
Correct. We're not gonna play literally forever.
Well, they both go to the decider match. It'll be a battle royale on the final stage for second place in the group.
Hearthstone battle royale. Now you're speaking the language. You're not actually. I'd be terrible at that.
Can confirm, have played battle royales.
All right, Muzzy, Goblin sending a bomb to the deck, it looks like.
Yeah, he has to play a minion here, and more importantly, he wants to kind of set up things like his Omega Assembly. Oh, I like this. So Muzzy keeping the Spirit of the Frog alive because it can't attack. Therefore, Language Hacker will have restriction on the spells that he can play, assuming that it draws more spells from the deck.
Well, there is the Mossy Horror, one of the Language Hacker's tech cards in this deck. He's actually playing 2 copies. Language Hacker specifically expected to see a lot of Token Druid in this tournament, which is a big part of why he's playing Mossy Horror in this deck. He has Baron and Mossy Horror in his mage deck. And he has 2 of these in this deck, in addition to Shudderwalk to pair them with. So a lot of respect for token-style decks.
Yep.
Incidentally, he actually said it's another card that's very good if he does end up in the Shaman Mirror match, because one of the ways that the Shaman Mirror match can go is, well, Reign of Toads. It's like, oh, kill that too.
Something that we... No, yeah, the Reign of Toads is definitely going to be really big. Language Hacker is starting to make his move because his hand's getting too big. And now he draws his second Lightning Storm with Big Bad Voodoo. Still doesn't have Elysiana, though. And I'm also starting to wonder, like, if Muzzy picks up his Hecklebot, there's a pretty good chance that it lands on Elysiana right now.
It's true. And he could potentially find a Hecklebot off of the Omega Assembly as well.
Right.
Crucial to note, Muzzy has played both of his Owls, so that Big Bad Voodoo that Language Hacker played on the Ziliax is guaranteed to hit.
That's huge. Well, huge in the sense that it's like important to know.
It's definitely not huge.
Caster exaggerated.
Because he's going to get a 5-drop. That 5-drop will die. In any number of horrible ways looking at Muzzy's hand.
Is it the same mana cost or 1 mana more?
Oh, it's 6-drop. You're right. It is 1 mana more. God, casters don't know anything. All right, Warpath. Muzzy's going to start using some of this removal in his hand. He will see what comes out of the box on that Ziliax.
I wonder if there's any huge 6-drops that can come out here.
The Beast!
That is pretty big.
All right, that's a big 6-drop, and it gives Muzzy tempo, right? You know, and to see a little bit of a smile from Language Hacker as that happens. Yeah, because now Finkel Einhorn coming out.
Muzzy won't be burning a card because the Warpath Echo will disappear. Elysiana comes to the hand for Language Hacker.
All right, that is important.
That's a big blink.
Now Language Hacker has all the tools to take this game real long.
Yep. I believe we're crossing turn 15. I actually have been tracking it like prisoners in a cell.
Yeah. He's not even kidding. He has like hash
tally marking everything.
I'm taking a picture of this and posting it on my Instagram story because it's really funny.
Nice self-plug there.
Absolutely. I'll post it on Shiro's Instagram story so people can see it there too. That'd be weird. People are like, why is this dog in jail? What's going on?
Well, he's counting down the days until Kibler and Natalie return home. Or, I mean, it feels like a Control Warrior versus Control Shopper.
Yeah.
Language Hacker here, he has to burn cards, and I think now that he has Elysiana, he's not really afraid of utilizing some of his resources.
All right, and we do see the small scheme fired off alongside that Kobold Lackey, Goblin Lackey. Kobold Lackey.
It's a Kobold Lackey, yeah. The Goblin is the one that
Goblin's double time, double pay.
And Muzzy having pretty mediocre mechs across the board. I mean, Demolisher, not really anything special. Pilot Reaper.
Okay, then.
He doesn't have an offensive game plan. Doesn't really have a way to grab that tempo very easily. With big minions, has it with small minions. But at the same time, tempo is tempo.
All right, Piloted Reaper comes out. No 2-drops in Muzzy's hand, so nothing will come out when that dies. And will we see the Bronze Gatekeeper Magnetic here?
I think he wants the hero power, quite possibly. I think the one thing going for him is that Muzzy has the hero card online for way longer.
Oh, bombs away! How exciting.
Second walking
Was that Agatha? No.
Yeah, it's a second fountain, which is nice. I mean, that just gives Language Hacker ways to recover life and threaten the board. It's also a big individual minion, so that way Super Collider can't do anything. And I kind of wonder in Language Hacker's mind, if he gets Agatha as his 30th card, is that still plenty of time for him to just win this game?
Oh, absolutely. This is not a game, at this point, given the way that things have gone, and frankly, in part, due to the specific mechs that Muzzy has gotten off of Assembly. They have not been terribly good. They've been fairly low impact, right? So there hasn't really been much pressure on Language Hacker. So he hasn't needed the extra value from Hagatha. He's just kind of been able to sit back, get it a Boom Reaver.
The one caveat is if Muzzy can discover a Mechathune, Mechathune can just win the game straight up. And we have actually seen some success with Mechathune Warrior. In fact, Fibonacci posted a deck list this morning about how he climbed to rank 1 legend with Mechathune Warrior, and is largely capitalizing on the fact that people just don't expect Warrior to drag out, or they are expecting it to drag out the game through replacing their deck and utilizing Archivist Elysiana. Sometimes you're just like, forget all that nonsense. I'm just going to win right now the moment I fatigue.
Yeah, and there's people who are talking about how maybe if you were looking to do a target warrior style of lineup, that may have been really a better option than some of what we have seen in this tournament. But yeah, that coming off of the Elysiana late, or off of a Discovery Drone or Delivery Drone, not Discovery Drone, or off an Assembly, can be a really big deal.
Right.
But speaking of just big deals, that Boom Reaver's big, and I'm curious to see if Muzzy decides to play that out or hold on to it and hope to get something really big off the Elysiana to combine with it as well.
That's fair, yeah. I mean, Boom Reaver could be utilized with Elysiana after he's replaced his deck, because looking at the cards that Muzzy's played, he has maybe a couple minions at best. He has a second Hecklebot.
I wonder.
And Harrison Jones. Those are the only 2 minions remaining. Oh, sorry, and his Dynamatics. So those aren't terribly impressive, especially if you just pull out one of them with Boom Reaver. Language Hacker doesn't have to do anything. He's at 9 cards. He can still just hold and wait for the Hagatha.
Yep. Although, to some degree, you may want to play out some of your stuff prior to Hagatha to ensure you don't run into hand space issues. I don't have exact knowledge of the last cards in Language Hacker's deck. He still has the Hagatha. I believe he has all of his spells, I believe, right? Oh, he's a Sludge Slurper left.
Yes, he has a Sludge Slurper,
Hagatha, and Mossy number 2?
Yes. Yeah. Here's the second Hecklebot. And so in Muzzy's mind, I think he might have to just rip it because he doesn't know if he has.
Yep, he's like, all right, I hope I hit it. It's not getting better, right? You're drawing your last 3 cards of your deck.
So I think this will all but confirm Muzzy that Language Hacker has that in his mind, which is entirely reasonable and about the average outcome. I like that Muzzy's been holding on to the Super Collider too, because I think he really values the ability for it to win tempo. Things like Weapons Project's not going to do much, but if your opponent's playing, Shutter Walk and Walking Fountain, maybe that's the way for you to play the Boom Reaver, pull out a big minion, and then swing.
Sure, yeah.
Hagatha finally comes into the hand.
All right, and this is a little bit awkward for Language Hacker. He can't actually remove this board with the Hagatha at the moment. Is he looking to play the Hagatha here? Is he looking to just, he could play Walking Fountain number 2, kill this. The key thing, really, though, in this style of matchup, once you get to the Elysiana turns, having Hagatha means that you aren't just limited to your Elysiana cards. You're not just limited to the cards that were in your deck. You have Hagatha cards too. So every time you get a minion off of your Elysiana, you get a minion and a spell. So you actually, even if you're not playing, not like actually winning a full-on fatigue situation, you don't need to really. You actually are just able to often win by killing your opponent's stuff with your extra stuff that you have thanks to the Hagatha ability.
That being said, I do feel like Language Hacker used one scheme a little bit liberally. It was only 3 damage. And, Muzzy gets closer to having big tempo swings. Like, if you can get a couple of more powerful minions onto the board and force Language Hacker's hand, Boom Reaver's going to go uncontested. But Language Hacker still has that second hex, that second scheme, so it's still going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, and Language Hacker also still has Walking Fountain. He has Hex. He has the Witch's Brew. So he has a lot of time, to take hits from, I mean, say Muzzy just suits this up, right? That's still just, okay, fine, I'm taking 4.
Yes.
That's just not much damage, right?
I think Muzzy's trying to figure out the right way to pressure. Then again, I don't think Bronze Gatekeeper is fantastic as a solo minion, so attaching it might be the best course of action. Oh,
I like this from Muzzy in terms of like making it awkward.
There's the Harrison
for Language Hacker, because Language Hacker is drawing his last card this turn.
Right. So now
this is the turn where he wants to play Elysiana. He wants to sort of reset his deck and avoid fatigue.
Yes.
And by presenting this now, he ends up putting up a position where Language Hacker is going to have to play in a way that he does not want to.
Right. Language Hacker getting used to the Spear of the Frog before he replaces his deck so he doesn't draw deeper into this fatigue unnecessarily. We're crossing turn 20, by the way.
We still got, what, 70 more to go?
No, the turn limit is 45.
I thought it was,
It's 90 turns total, I believe. And it's like 45.
Okay. So this is, yeah. I was thinking.
Sorry, I have it because it's a lot easier to
You're
track if I
per
forget.
player. Okay. Yeah, I was like, what?
I believe. I could be mistaken, but if I'm wrong, let me know. Witch's Lackey, which is very good, actually, with a lot of the big minions in the deck.
Yeah.
You can convert Archivist Elysiana.
And, while it looks like, he's going to overdraw, there's no cards in his deck. He can't overdraw.
So, Muzzy, with this delivery drone, keep in mind, the thing that we're looking for is actually a Mechathune. And then, how can Muzzy find a way to activate it if possible? But it's difficult. He has a Mechathune. That is big, but the second stage of that, he needs to dump his hand and also find for a way to not get hexed.
Yeah. I mean, so Mechathune is awesome in this sort of situation. Of course, it's a potential alternate way to win, but it is not easy to use, right?
Yes.
It's not just, my deck is empty, I Mechathune you.
Right.
It's not Chef Nomi in that way.
That being said, he has a way to activate it. If he can stick Mechathune, he has double Weapons Project and a Shield Slam.
Right. And yeah, he's going to take it.
So I think now he's aggressively dump his hand.
Yep.
But if he's aggressively dumping his hand too much, wait, no, how does this work? Because he has Elysiana too.
Right.
He has to play
Elysiana first.
Oh boy.
But it's also just a big minion, right?
Right.
And it's a big minion that if Language Hacker doesn't deal with, there's maybe this alternate wing.
Right. He has to hex that or I mean, he's reused his second Hex this game. And so now, Language Hacker's in a position where he wants to Elysiana. Does he pull the trigger now? Or does he try to deal with the mech threat?
I don't think this is that big a threat. I think that you're at the stage, from Language Hacker's perspective, you have to Elysiana.
Yeah, you don't get that many more opportunities, and Muzzy's going to only develop more.
Right.
And also, it's not like you want to hex this either.
And frankly, Language Hacker doesn't have that much time to decide to Elysiana because there's a lot you have to do in terms of both decision-making and animation.
Evaluate your time, too.
Really? He's going to hex this?
Oh, that's the second hex?
I am very skeptical of this decision from Language Hacker. Obviously, we know that there is a Mechathune in hand, but that's just not that big of a threat. And there, even outside of Mechathune, there could be another just big thing. Elysiana is bigger than that.
Yes, exactly. Right? It's a 7/7.
Are you just going to try to keep reacting to each of these? Heavy Metal is big.
Heavy Metal's big.
27 armor for Muzzy. That's 6 for a 10-drop.
It's true. Battle Rage isn't bad either to help him get closer to his Mechathune situation.
Yeah.
Although Yeti's just the best minion. Or Lore Walker showed a mess with them. I don't know if there's a way to utilize Lore Walker.
Keep warp weapons projecting so your opponent never draws a card.
Oh, that's interesting.
Nestormu! I want to see Nestormu. I mean, frankly, though, your opponents use both Hex. So just big stuff is a really reasonable route to victory here.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
This doesn't look that great. I think I value the cheap cards so you can kind of get it out of his hand.
I think that there's some incentive. Oh, he took Nestormu. If he took Nestormu, he could take Fire Tree Witch Doctor.
He did.
And now Language Hacker, he's fatiguing for 2. He's going to Elysiana here in a worse position than he could have Elysiana last turn. That's a big part of why I just really don't like his play last turn.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a little bit extra damage. The way this game is progressing, we're barely at the halfway point. I think this game is not going to go to the turn limit.
I think when people look at games going to the tournament, Bog Slosher, by the way, is insane with Agatha. You can keep getting additional spells. Alex Straza, Stormbringer, you don't really have any way to generate extra minions, which makes Stormbringer kind of unimpressive. Your opponent has also not played a Brawl.
Yeah, I like the Alex Straza, or even just Ascension for defensive.
So the thing is, that the situation for Muzzy and the situation for Language Hacker in terms of their optimal picks is different, because Language Hacker has the Hagatha. So Language Hacker wants to take things that allow him to weave in spells as well quite frequently, simply because if he uses all of his mana, he's just going to have a full hand fairly frequently. Whereas Muzzy, he needs to have the highest impact stuff he can each turn.
Right. And
I kind of like Witchy Lackeying this.
I do. I like it. Want to upgrade it?
You have a bad 8, you get a 9.
You might get like Malekith.
King Crush.
You might get King Crush.
Oh, yes. He's an Ancestral Healing. He can trade with the 8/8 and heal it if he's in time. Oh, no. He didn't have the time to Ancestral Healing to save that.
It's a waste. I mean, I guess maybe he's using it for the Walking Fountain of some sort.
Still, you're just... What matters here, you have so much more value than your opponent.
I agree.
I feel like the tempo of I get to protect my 8/8 here is huge.
Whoa, we have a Hearthstone game on our hands.
My God.
Language Hacker chuckling, saying, yeah, kind of knowing that this is it. But, I mean, this is just 10 mana threat after 10 mana threat, and the Hex was used already. Oh, he picked Mogushon Warden. I thought he picked Crowd Roaster in that position.
I don't think he had a dragon that he picked.
Oh, right, because he skipped the Alexstrasza for Ascension. I mean, it was on the opposite side of... oh, my God.
All right.
All right. Well, this game just got really nutty.
He was overloaded, so he can't actually Earthen Might this.
Oh, yeah. That's annoying.
He can attack and zap.
He has to zap it.
Which is fine, but this is going to get interesting.
Well, the thing is, he can also replace his deck with Corrupted Bloods.
Right. So, Muzzy has Muzzy can have no way to get out of these Corrupted Bloods, whereas Language Hacker, he can play that Shudderwalk and replace his deck again with Elysiana. He does replace his deck with Elysiana with random cards because he doesn't get to choose.
It's true, but he removes the Corrupted Bloods from his deck.
At what stage is what play correct?
Yes, and I think now Muzzy recognizes, well, he couldn't deal with that, and I'm just going to play Mechathune for tempo. I love this play.
I agree, and we're coming back to feeling like that Hex that Language Hacker had played on the 4/9 is left him in a pretty bad spot. All
right, Blazing Invocation to try and find a nice Battlecry minion. There's silences in the pool.
Witch's Apprentice gets him 2 spells. Bloodsuck Corsair will kill. He has, so we'll get a spell off of this, then a spell off of Hagatha.
He's looking for a Hex
Lava
removal.
Burst. Ancestral Spirit.
It's a funny Mechathune counter.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's good.
And he has Frost Shock. He can Frost Shock the Mechathune.
Yes. Imagine a world where Mechathune just never dies until Muzzy action fatigues.
But this is what I was talking about when I was talking about the power of Hagatha in these games. Okay, man. Heavy Metal number 2. The Hagatha just continues to give Language Hacker extra value with every single minion that he is able to play. That Mogushon Warden, gave him, I think it was the Frost Shock. That Witch's Apprentice, gave him 2 spells.
Right. I think Muzzy also is going to look for this delivery drone to once again make big impact. At this point, tempo is king. I think if he gets a Mega Destroyer,
another Boom Reaver,
he has Nose Dormu in his deck. He can pull out an 8/8 and also force Language Hacker in a bad situation time-wise because the animations from Hagatha, plus the fact that Language Hacker is a slower player.
It's true. And look at Muzzy's hand. From a tempo perspective, he still has 2 Shield Slims and 27 armor.
Right.
So
he has all his removals.
This is not really a board that Language Hacker can really react to effectively with minions. He's going to have to protect himself by killing these minions.
Yes, I like this. Hagatha schemes are gone. Pushing just a little bit extra damage here. Language Hacker has the Bog Slosher.
Nothing to bounce. There is always the fallback plan of the Shudderwalk.
Yes.
And I think that might be what Language Hacker's going with.
There's Slurpers. There's Mossy Horrors. I mean, there's the Elysiana. Those are the battle cries.
Well, there's also just Hagatha. Hagatha will at minimum, and I believe he had. There's a Witchy Lackey.
Oh, the +1 attack and rush. Yeah.
Yeah, Goblin Lackey
Very
come
big
down,
to clear.
So he does clear this.
Corrupted Bloods are gone as well.
And his hand is full, I think. So, he has...
So he has
Bloodstone
Voltaic
Raider, Voltaic Burst, Witch's Apprentice, Hench Clan Sneak, Tinkmaster Overspark in his deck. That's actually like reasonable, given that it's just a bunch of minions and he wants spells off of this. But you know, Muzzy, he's got this Boom Reaver.
Yeah,
you can go big.
This Boom Reaver pulling out Nose
and heavy metal. He has just a lot of ways to continue to make big threats, and Language Hacker does not have great ways to deal with big threats. Oh,
Big Bag Archmage.
That's 2 big threats. Well, it's 2 mid-sized threats, which is actually probably better for Language Hacker.
It's big enough that it's like annoying for Language Hacker because Lightning Storm still doesn't clear it, and Lava Burst doesn't clear it. He needs to combine them, and it's not even guaranteed. Still a pretty good position. By the way, I'm still just incredibly impressed that Muzzy has kept his first Super Collider.
Yeah.
He still hasn't swung with it. I'm like thinking...
Bad 6-drop from the Big Bad Wolf, though.
Yeah, that's the hand buff card, right?
Right. Yeah, that is...
I apologize for not knowing the name.
Glowstone Technician, I think. So Lava Burst. It's going to hit the Big Bad Archmage. We're going to see the Witch's Apprentice come down.
Seems like a storm opportunity.
Another Lava Burst to Temic Smash.
Yeah, that should help clear off the other minions on the board.
Not going to get a totem with this one if he fires it off, but still, you know, Muzzy's hand. He's got Boom Reaver.
He's got Boom Reaver. He's got another delivery drone, which makes me think he might even hesitate yet again because he needs to maximize every single opportunity.
I don't know about that because I think that he wants to minimize Language Hacker's time. Language Hacker has Hagatha, right? And Muzzy has Corrupted Blood in his deck. So Muzzy's not in a position where I think he can just partition everything like exactly. And if he doesn't have Nosdormu in his deck, he has 2 Nosdormus in his deck.
He also has 2 Yetis and another Fire Tree Witch Doctor.
Right. So I feel like...
And a Light Warden.
I feel like maximizing tempo and preventing Language Hacker from getting opportunities to get cards off of Bewitch may be more important than just trying to use Delivery Drone every time it's up. There's Nosdormu, okay.
So he can Fire Tree Witch Doctor for a spell.
He can. This does mean that his deck is less just big stuff.
Yeah.
So that may mean that Boom Reaver is like something he wants to wait on.
I mean, Fire Tree Witch Doctor can pull out some big stuff. Maybe he gets another Mechathune!
This is just haymaker after haymaker from Muzzy and Delivery Drone here.
All the rules of Hearthstone are being broken because you're only supposed to play 1 legendary deck. Luciana gives you 2 copies. Now he's discovering the 2nd copy of Mechathune, assuming he wants it.
This
I mean,
would be a good time for a master plan.
I think the Mechathune here is just good so he can layer threats 3 turns in a row. He can drop Nosdormu, he can drop the Boom Reaver, he can drop Mechathune.
Mortal Strike, Heroic Strike, Sweeping Strikes. This is a lot of strikes going on.
I think, the cheapest makes the most sense here.
You just use Heroic Strike and kill this 2/3 if he wants.
I think so. And just he can't re-equip something. Maybe he just attacks and re-equips another Super Collider.
Okay. Well, there is Mossy Horror available for Language Hacker. He could actually attack face Bog Slosher the Witch's Apprentice to get another Apprentice in his hand, play the Mossy Horror, kill both minions on Muzzy's side of the board. Oh, no, he can't. Never mind. He is overloaded for 4. My bad. But it will be Bog Slosh, it looks like, on the Witch's Apprentice.
You belong to the bar.
Yep, just trying to continue to maximize his value.
A lot of spells. And this is kind of part of why...
These are actually... This is starting to become a little bit bad here for Language Hacker.
No. He has Voltaic Burst.
Oh, you're right.
He has Voltaic Burst, Witch's Apprentice. These are the cards you actually want in combination when you have Stormbringer. As a professional Stormbringer player.
Well, the thing is, though, Muzzy has 2 brawls that he's been saving, so...
It's true. That is why that's a lot weaker.
All right, let's find out what he pulls.
Boom.
Not amazing.
Sick.
Actually, that's just the worst option because he drew his 2nd Fire Tree, so he had Light Warden, 2 Yetis, and a Nosdormu. That was a 1 in 5.
Oh, Stealth. Is that the... that's a 3, so that's...
It's a Spirit of Shark!
Shark!
What?
Ooh, is anything sick?
Yeah, Witch's Apprentice gives you 2
Yeah,
spells.
he doesn't have room for that many spells. I think we're gonna see the Stormbringer here. It does mean that he gets a stealth minion, which does mean that
That didn't go as...
we're gonna see Oh, and there's
Wind Fury, 2 Wind Fury? That doesn't work.
Bring the storm. Let's go.
Kagdar?
All right. So now, Muzzy's in a position where he probably has to pull the trigger on Brawl.
Okay,
he does still have Super Collider.
One thing about Corrupted Bloods is Muzzy can play it the same way he bombs, where if his hand is full, he discards it. So I think that's also why he has his interest in keeping his hand full. Because he can get in the situation where he can Fire Tree Witch Doctor, discover the 10th card, keep his hand full, and burn the Corrupted Blood, and make that a non-factor, then sending Mechathune into the position that he needs to. So Muzzy does have a clear win condition from this point, and it comes in 4 turns, or probably 6 turns.
It's pretty convoluted.
Because he needs to play his entire hand. But that's why dumping Brawl here is not a bad thing. However, I think he has to play Brawl and nothing else because he needs to keep his hand full.
Well, that's only, he has a 25% chance of drawing a Corrupted Blood, right? And if he does play Brawl, his hand still isn't full.
Right, it's just that if he knows that the Corrupted Bloods are shuffled into his deck. Actually, that's true because he still has
another heavy metal. Yep. All right.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
He's not going to Brawl. He's going to attack, kill off the 2 big things, shoot the Khadgar, and play another heavy metal, I think. Yeah. With that discovery.
Or even just shoot. If he's going to do this, is he going to develop with Shield Slam Yeti? Or he just heavy metal?
That's an option. Oh, no, keep his hand full. The plan that you were talking about.
Yeah. I think he recognizes that his cards remaining are another Yeti, another Dosdormu, another Light Warden, and a Corrupted Blood. Those are his 4 cards remaining.
Okay. Yep. I think we may see... All right.
Another
Eurekas are not too exciting here. There's a second Stormbringer in the hand as well. Nothing impressive in terms of big minions.
Wait! Hold on! I just realized something. Sorry. And this is down the road. Languagehacker, did you say he has Tink Master Overspark in his deck?
I believe he does. I believe he does.
Doesn't that nullify the effect of Mechathune?
If Mechathune is the plan, it does make it very difficult for it to work out.
So it's in Languagehacker's best interest to hide that in case, because if Muzzy knows that the second copy of Tink Master Overspark, he's going to try to bait that out way before with his Nose Dormus. Also, I like that Muzzy filled his hand up now because if Corrupted Blood does get drawn and 2 get shuffled in, the 10-card hand plan only works 1 time. Wind Fury. Totemic Slam.
For the value plan.
Clear. Muzzy's hoping for that 1 and 4. Burn the Corrupted Blood. Light Warden. Does he pass?
It seems to be consistent with his plan.
I think he passes here. You gain 7 armor. Go.
All right. Yeah, that's what Muzzy's into here.
Tink Master Overspark comes in the hand. If he plays it, he's going to try to transform into a Devil Soar.
We've got Stormbringer 2.
Oh, it's a squirrel.
You can go with Stormbringer number 2. Not going to be a better opportunity for it, I think.
A Mechathune for Languagehacker! Your expansion was 2 sets ago! And yet we still see Mechathune all over the place.
I do want to point out, by the way, this is game 1. This is just game 1 of this match. We are how many turns?
This is turn 30, actually, I believe, if I've lost count.
We're too engrossed in the Mechathunes.
Well, either way, I don't think this is going to go to the 45th turn because
that's the Storm.
And now Muzzy, I think, has to pull the trigger on this.
I mean, yeah, this is too scary. He was not able to burn Corrupted Blood in 2 turns, had a 25% chance.
But he can delivery drone. That's actually huge.
Delivery drone. You're right. You are absolutely right.
Splinter Grass survives. Clockwork Automaton actually has some use with the laser, but Vicious Scrap Hound gives him a little bit of life. Dynamatic helps him clear the board.
Yeah, I think that Muzzy's plan is he's just going to try to get rid of that Corrupted Blood because Languagehacker pulled the trigger on that Shudderwalk. Look at the deck sizes, too. Languagehacker doesn't have that much stuff left.
Right. Desperation, but that's second Wind Fury.
16, yeah.
Big damage coming from Languagehacker. The blood is burned. Muzzy nodding. finally getting what he was seeking for multiple turns now.
And now Muzzy has Shield Slam Nosdormu and putting Language Hacker in a position where he is behind on board and has to think fast if he wants.
And now Muzzy can finally dump his hand and prepare for the Mechathune. The stage is set, Kibler. He can play Dynamatic and clear this sneak.
I mean, I think the biggest thing here is that Muzzy has just a bunch of big threats. I don't even know that it's the Mechathune that's going to matter, other than it's a 10-10. You know, here, Language Hacker, he doesn't really have great ways to, continue to generate threats, generate resources.
But he's in a situation where Muzzy can, like, Mechathune Brawl. If it dies, he wins. If it survives, he, like, pushes 10.
Sure.
So it's, like, kind of a pretty good scenario, I'd say.
There's definitely a lot of opportunities here for Muzzy. He has a lot of life to work with.
And Language Hacker, the moment he picks up...
That's an awkward card. From Language Hacker's perspective, this is still very much a fatigue game. He doesn't want to dig.
And he also knows that Muzzy has a Nosdormu because one was burned off the top. The last card remaining is this final Chewin Yeti.
That's it. I'm out of cards.
Muzzy is finally on the fatigue clock.
It's a long clock. 37 life.
The dumping continues. The beginning of the end. Of the beginning.
Mossy Horror comes down, deals with the Microbots. Finds
Ancestral Spirit. Not that useful, but helps him have some semblance of board presence.
Mutates.
Well, he doesn't have any damage spells.
He doesn't. That's going to come back, though.
But the Witch's Brew. The Witch's Brew is really nice. Sorry, the Witch's Brew. The Witch's Apprentice is nice because it gives him 2 chances to get damage spells. No attack.
He doesn't want to expose the sneak to the ability for Muzzy to attack into it with Super Collider.
Right.
If he's going to Super Collide, he has to attack into Velen himself.
Muzzy has the Heavy Metal, and he's thinking about ways to dump his hand. Heavy Metal has the best use now, because if he's going to take damage of his armor and his big fatigue plan, he's going to have less chances to get good Heavy Metal stuff. However, maybe in his mind, he doesn't want a 10-drop per se, because that gives him a risk of getting Hakar. And this is actually stuff that players really think about. If you see things like players don't play a Faceless Lackey when they're really far ahead on board, it's because they don't want to get Doomsayer.
Yep.
It's like things like that that really put them in corner case scenarios that they really want to avoid.
Ow. Yeah.
Clear.
And now we can see Blast Shield Heavy Metal.
He's avoiding it. And I totally understand his perspective, if that's what he's thinking.
I want to see another Stormbringer. 3-in-1 game. Let's go.
No, these are pretty weak.
Yeah.
But damage is damage. If he Eureka's, actually, Muzzy already knows there's a second Tink Master.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If Language Hacker is tracking into the 33rd turn, he should know that Muzzy's delivery drone hasn't placed something. What is happening? I don't understand Hearthstone anymore, Brian Kibler.
The night.
So this game is a Shaman versus a Warrior. Got a Tyrion, got a couple of Dormus, got a couple of Mechathunes. We're over an hour into this single game.
I am loving every second of it.
Here comes Tinkmaster.
Tinkmaster is out! But that means Mechathune is fair game.
Another Stormbringer. He's got Voltaic Burst as well. What?
This is a very long tornado.
If he plays the Hench Clan Sneak, he'll just get hit by the Super Collider.
Right.
There's no cards in his deck, though. This is all he has to work with. This plus whatever card comes off Hench Clan Sneak. That's it. Language Hacker's out.
So the Stormbringer has to carry home unless he gets another big spell off the Sneak. Wind Fury.
That doesn't do it.
I mean, that'll help cement his Stormbringer's position if a big minion survives a brawl.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he does have Voltaic Burst plus Stormbringer as really his last breath next turn.
But now Muzzy has a tempo advantage because no Stormbringer plus Super Collider, that might just end the game. Unless Language Hacker can turn it with the Voltaic Stormbringer. This is The big push from Muzzy.
3 fatigue, not even a dent.
This has to be
total.
This has to be a no Dormu.
All right.
It's so fitting that a long game is now going to be rushed towards its conclusion.
All right, speaking of rush, Voltaic Burst. Let's get 2-1-1 rush.
The last-ditch effort from Languagehacker. That is the worst outcome.
Speaking of fitting conclusions to a game, that was incredible. And like we said, that was game 1. It may have already delivered, and we're just going to be downhill from here.
Yeah, it's going to be like...
It's like Iron Man 1 compared to Iron Man 2 and 3. Like,
yes, or every American sequel movie ever. It's going to probably be like 4 games that end in like 5 to 10 minutes each. Zoo Warlock versus Control Shaman. Languagehacker, you got to feel for him a little bit. I think, Muzzy kept throwing curveballs left and right through delivery drones and all that stuff, and also the Archivist Elysiano. But that's kind of the rope that you walk on knowingly by bringing stuff like Control Shaman and being dependent on Shutterwalk and Agatha. So we go into this game. Zoo Warlock has a tough time against the AoEs of Control Shaman. I was going to say, Languagehacker only has that Storm, but now they picked the Hagatha scheme. It's going to be a very competitive game for him.
Yeah, it's a very big deal. Languagehacker's Shaman deck here is specifically built to beat aggressive decks with the Thunderhead package alongside Spirit of the Frog to give him some juice to keep digging through his deck. Hagatha scheme, though, obviously very important. And frankly, not as important to draw early against Zoo as it is against some other decks, because even just a Hagatha scheme for 2 or 3 is often enough to clear their board. But definitely a card that you want to have access to, even if it's not super powered up.
Well, Muzzy has the Magic Carpet, which is very difficult to contest as Shaman early on, and has a hand of 1-mana minions. Seems good to me. And if he's able to set up a big board that's out of the Lightning Storm range, that forces Languagehacker to take a lot of damage before his Hagatha scheme can come into play. That being said, Languagehacker still has Lickum and Lightning Bolt to help keep himself safe from the board getting out of control. In fact, he can just kill off this Magic Carpet right here, right now.
He can, though. Magic Carpet is much less powerful, much less scary in a matchup where you're not really trying to seize the board like you are. It's a minion-based mirror match, right? If you're playing Zoo versus Zoo, the scariest thing in the world is the Magic Carpet on the side of the board. If you're just toteming, all right, their guys can kill your totems. They're a little bit more powerful, but it's much less of an issue to kill right away.
Right.
Languagehacker, I think, is contemplating, do I want to, say, Volt plus Lickum here? And it looks like what he's doing. He's going to go ahead and kill the Imp, as well as Lickum down the Magic Carpet. As you're saying, the carpet itself not terrifying here. It will actually be pretty powerful for Muzzy here. He's able to buff up 3 1-drops if he want. But then, well, there's Lightning Storm in Languagehacker's hand. So if Muzzy is triple 1-dropping this turn, you're not feeling too bad about it.
Yes. The Lightning Storm, though, isn't as effective as Languagehacker would like it to be because of Argent Squire and Mekaru. He's going to have to commit another swing, which is not the end of the world. It's just that Muzzy will have resilient board afterwards. Even to the point where I kind of wonder if Muzzy wants to do something else with Grim Rally, but I think it doesn't fit nearly as clean as the 3 1-mana plays.
I mean, there is the possibility of, say, Argent Squire plus Mekaru plus Grim Rally. That does give him, a board that is somewhat stronger, but is that a big deal, right? Would he rather just save Grim Rally? If you look at AoE'd, he'd rather get AoE'd before he Grim Rallies, and then have the Grim Rally later on to buff up a board that his opponent might not have AoE for. He also might just want to life tap, right? Life tapping is not a crazy thing to do here when you are looking to be in a position where you are knowing that your opponent has lots of board clears that you need to fight for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that going for this triple 3-drop makes sense given the context of his hand.
Yeah.
The life tap wouldn't be the worst option in the world, but he also has a 1-window opportunity before Hagatha scheme comes in.
And I think we may have some people in the chat saying, "Oh, missed attack, didn't kill the totem." He wants that totem in play. He wants that totem in play because he has... Actually, yes, he has Sea Giants in his deck. I briefly looked at the wrong deck, and I was like, I don't see a Sea Giant at the bottom there. But no, he definitely has Sea Giant in his deck. Ooh, so best case scenario there for Muzzy.
Yep, not hitting the 3 on the Crystallizer.
And, that's a situation where... Ooh, okay.
That's a nice draw.
Yeah, Evil Genius can munch the Joey bot here and give Muzzy a bit more fuel. But Muzzy, he's taking his time. We did hear him say, he felt like his last appearance at the World Championship, he was disappointed in his result. And, he's not going to let this one slip by him. We saw just how deliberate he was in that first game. It's why it's been over an hour, and we're still here in game number 2.
Yeah.
But, you certainly cannot fault these players for wanting to think through their plays every single turn, because every single turn matters.
Knife Juggler is really powerful in combination with the Goblin, or just the lackeys in general. Muzzy squeezing in every bit of damage, and Languagehacker's Overload starting to be a little annoying here. He would have loved to be able to get the Thunderhead onto the board before all these Overload and just win the game, it feels like, because you're going to be able to dominate every single position that Zoo Warlock develops. But all this little chip damage that Muzzy's getting in, it's adding up. I don't think this is worth Lightning Bolt. And at the same time, Witch's Brew is much more than just 4 life gain.
Yeah, in particular with Thunderhead in hand, Lightning Bolt is so valuable. He wants to be able to use Lightning Bolt to kill 3 minions effectively. Ooh, that is a very good draw for Muzzy here.
So there's a couple options here for Muzzy. He can obviously develop the Scaria because he wants to set up against AoE, but he can put the Knife Juggler with it, or he can continue to explore this path of gathering a lot of resources for the post-AoE. However, his hand is fairly aggressive. He has 3 cards that are generating just straight-up damage with Knife Juggler, Soulfire, and Grim Rally. And he has ways to capitalize on that with synergy. The Scarabag plus Juggler, Scarabag plus Grim Rally.
There's a Sea Giant.
I don't mind the tap. I think a lot of people might think they just want to play the hand here. Like, Zoo, just play all your minions that are green. It's not that simple, especially in a deck that has layers upon layers of AoE.
Yeah. Shriek. Now you're looking for Mortal Coil Drain Life.
So Drain Life might look laughable here, but it might be coming one of those scenarios where Muzzy might have to Hail Mary for the damage.
Yeah, he's going to go for it. And yeah, he's going to play the Scarebag here, just kind of taking his time to develop his board.
Yes.
It gives him a board that is resilient to AoE and just a couple of minions. But the key is that thanks to Grim Rally, he has threats at any time. And crucially, that egg gives him protection against the Mossy Horror that Languagehacker just drew.
Yeah.
Mossy Horror coming down would actually leave Muzzy with effectively the same board, 3 minions and 3 power.
That's a really good point. I wasn't thinking about Mossy Horror because it's not always the most common included tech, although it's starting to gain a lot of popularity the past week or so. Languagehacker has several options, and I think he just wants to pick the one that keeps him the highest life total possible. So that's not Witch's Brew. Sorry, I was like, yeah, he's just going to go Witch's Brew to 30.
You are technically incorrect.
Whoa, look at this. He's lightning bolting his own totem to stop the Sea Giant build.
Oh.
That has some 200 IQ.
That is clever. That is quite clever. He's pretty, still would be a minion away from Sea Giant here, but say Grim Rally's here, right? Spends 1 mana, gets 3 guys, or just kills this in some way. He could play there could be a Sea Giant coming down, right? Yeah.
Yes, there could be a Sea Giant if Muzzy so desired. And I think that Thunderhead is threatening enough that Muzzy has to react to it.
No, there actually can't be. It's only -2. If you Grim Rally here, you spend 1 mana.
Oh, you could just Goblin Lackey, for example, and then that just sets up a pretty big board, right?
Yes. Yeah, that would allow you to do it.
In fact, I think, does this Juggler give him that capability anyway? No, because it loses 1. So it...
Ooh. Oh. Not quite the full-on sharpshooter.
But he could still go for the Flame Imp here. Or the Drain Life, yeah. Sure.
I think here he wants to avoid committing even more to the board, right? It's already a scary board. But now this is a Mossy Horrible board.
And the Mossy Horror is massive in this
look at a little bit of a shaking his head from Muzzy there.
The layers of on AoE. And Shutterwalk being drawn is actually fairly important too, because that's a second
Mossy Horror, right? Language Hacker did not include Muzzy Horror in his deck specifically for Zoo, but he mentioned that it's sort of a happy coincidence. Zoo is so popular, and while Muzzy Horror is not fast enough by itself to actually deal with Zoo, it does give you this additional layer of AoE, so you can hold on to the Hagatha scheme. If he didn't have that Muzzy Horror, and say that Muzzy Horror were some minion, right, that didn't have this kind of effect, he'd be in a situation where he has to pull the trigger on Hagatha scheme. Then Muzzy just gets to reload. Now, because of that Muzzy Horror, he still has Hagatha scheme in reserve for Muzzy's next push, as well as just a 2/7 minion in play.
Yeah, 2/7 will be nice to soften up the board if he picks up anything else that can do a little bit of damage. Say just more AoE.
Why do you fall?
I think the restraint here on the Grim Rally is starting to really be annoying because Muzzy feels like all these 3 cards aren't harmonizing the way he wants it to. Spear the Frog.
Okay.
I think it's pretty huge here with Witch's Brew.
This allows you to Witch's Brew. You find either Lightning Storm or a Haunting Vision. Witch's Brew number 2 gets you the second one. Gain some life. And then, next turn you have Haunting Visions, which gets you a Hex. The 0-cost thing you play on Haunting Visions, which...
Oh, wow.
Oh, dear.
Double Sea Giant, though. How big is the Hagatha scheme? He drew it on turn 2.
No, he drew it on turn 2.
Okay.
So it's big.
Then it should be
8
at 8
damage.
Right.
So, while Muzzy, he could, Grim Rally here into Double Sea Giant, right?
I mean, I think that's his best option, to be honest. Like, your hand is telling you to play Sea Giants.
Right. And he'll get the very bad news if he does.
Well, the Grim Rally can put the Sea Giant, one of them, to 9. Actually, but then he just... Can you do it? He just, hexes it? Yeah, hex and hack the scheme.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of an alternative here for Muzzy. Life tap. Yeah, and Muzzy's been hand tracking, and he sees that Language Hacker's been holding on to a card or 2 for a long time. So I think maybe 1 Giant here is warranted, or is he going to play 2?
We're going to see. If he's Grim Rallying now, that means double Giants happening. And oh dear, this is disaster for Muzzy. That is his entire big push.
It is what it is. And I think that's the right play, and I think Language Hacker just had the hack of this game, which is kind of what we're talking about, the importance of this of this card.
And really, just looking at how this all played out, this was very much about Muzzy Horror. Obviously, Hagatha scheme is the card that's really putting the nail in the coffin, but it was the Muzzy Horror that allowed Language Hacker to hold on to that Hagatha scheme. Yeah. So we had this answer to this big board rather than having to answer a previous board to a board dying to Grim Rally.
Right. It's good deck building from Language Hacker to understand what he's exactly trying to do and how it synergized together instead of just simply putting in AoEs for the sake of it. Muzz nodding, knowing that this is
and
not
the
a
walking
good position.
fountain is really the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, I think this is lights out here momentarily.
If only that Soulfire were an Archvillain Rafaam.
I mean, unironically, I think so. I think that in this case, Sea Giant isn't exactly that great against Shaman because they can have obviously a charged up Hagatha scheme or Hex. I think, Shaman, as you saw in the previous game, has difficulties dealing with like one big drop at a time. Like Nose Dormu, the Boom Reaver, Mechathune.
I bring this up semi-jokingly because there's been some controversy on social media regarding some commentary surrounding Archvillain Rafaam. But this is exactly the sort of matchup and sort of reason that players put that card in their deck. Players,
absolutely,
they know that their Zoo deck, if they go up against a heavy anti-aggro control deck, they're toast. Most of their deck doesn't do anything. So a lot of players do choose to include Archvillain Rafaam for exactly that reason when they are expecting to go up against heavy control as part of their ban strategy.
I mean, Muzzy would still most likely lose, but it's like this. In my opinion, this is like a 0% win chance.
Oh yeah.
But then Rafaam gives you what, like a 5 to 10% chance? I mean, maybe even higher.
He's now going to use his entire hand to kill this walking fountain, putting Language Hacker to 30. Language Hacker has 6 cards.
Well, he just Shudder Walk.
All of which are good.
He can Shudder Walk kill the board. He can also just Thunderhead Hex.
Hagatha
to wrap it up. This is 100% in Language Hacker's favor. I don't expect Muzzy to make a comeback here, but by all means, still continue to play it out because as a professional player, you want to play even if you have a microcode.
It's true. Though after that, that hour plus game one,
it's okay.
I think there's
there's
some argument to preserving your mental energy. Right?
I could use some resolution after that climax. Solarium is like one of those cards where it could help me get back into it. But it'd be one of those things where you need Despicable Dreadlord from Wild.
Yeah, you need to draw cards that aren't in your deck in order to have a chance to win this game. You could draw. I think if Muzzy put his entire deck in his hand right now and was immune to fatigue, he would lose.
Well, if he was immune, you're saying for that turn. If he was immune, he couldn't lose.
No, I think he would lose. He's immune to fatigue. I think that Language Hacker would be able to just eventually kill him with a Walking Fountain, the second one. Or just the stuff he got off of his Elysiana.
Oh, you're saying immune to fatigue. I just meant immune, period.
No. Yes, immune to fatigue. He's immune for the rest of the game.
All right, this is just lethal. Right? No, never mind.
No.
He gained armor.
I mean, it is. It's lethal. He's playing Agatha.
Sure. Good push. Good effort from Muzzy. But it's time to scoop him up. Let's go to game number 3. Muzzy will see the next card drawn.
Oh, no, he's going to life tap. Don't you worry. He get Soulfire himself. He's got lethal.
It's true.
There it is. Finds it. Boom.
Hey.
That's the package right there. Soulfire and Microtech controller to your own face.
All right, game 2 in the books. Language Hacker equalizes it. Control Shaman.
Deck can work out, right? Because being able to Archmage Vargoth Rain of Toads is extremely powerful against decks that don't have legitimate AoE clear, and the Rogue does not.
Right. That is actually specifically what Seiya was saying backstage. He's like, we need to get that Plague of Toads going on. We're still sticking on Zoom Warlock.
I didn't even know he said that.
Yeah, I know, because you were standing next to the stage, and I asked him real quick, how do you win this matchup if you're Control Shaman? He's like, just play Plague of Toads.
Plague of Toads. I like it. But it will not be that matchup here. It'll be Language Hacker playing that Miracle Rogue style deck against Muzzy's Zoo we just saw. This is a much better matchup for Muzzy, though.
A little bit of a throwback. Real Violet Teacher, Shivs. These are cards that you might see in the Tavern Brawl that, Osaka's Oil Rogue might bring you down memory lane. But the important card isn't necessarily those. It's the Fan of Knives that can help deal with the Microtech controllers, the lackeys, the Scarabs.
But that does make the Grim Rallies in Muzzy's deck that much more powerful. Because if Language Hacker is relying on 1 damage AoE from Fan of Knives and does not have access, rather he does have access to Blood Mage Thalnos. He does not have Blood Mage Thalnos. The Grim Rally alone can just get your entire board out of range.
Yeah. And also, they still don't have an answer to Magic Carpet very conveniently. Ever since, the Rogue has lost Vile Spine Slayer and they've been cutting saps, it's been fairly difficult for them to just have that single target removal that we know them for. Because they favor small chip damages here and there, or just big, using their big weapon damage to help clear.
Muzzy's got the carpet, and this is a matchup where, at least in the early turns, Language Hacker is going to have to rely on minions primarily to fight for the board here. Does find a second fan. However, as you were mentioning, that's a key card in this matchup. Not really something you just want to fire off in order to cycle and get a little bit of damage in your opponent's minions.
Yeah. He does have a way to use the prep fan with SI, but like you're saying, it's a waste, and he doesn't even remove anything. The Violet Teacher prep fan is something that he's probably thinking about for now. Maybe just a Tempo SI7 agent to try to fight for the board and know that your opponent's going to trade into it.
I feel like Tempo SI7 in particular, if you're planning on playing Violet Teacher Fan, it just feels terrible this turn. Because, I like just daggering up, getting 1 point of damage on the 2 health Crystallizer here, because you don't want to give your opponent an opportunity to use their minions that would just die to Fan of Knives.
That's true.
To kill your SI.
That being said, Muzzy has cards that counterplay that with the Evil Genius. Very good. Get the lackeys up, and lackeys are a fantastic tool against Rogue, or just against any class. But specifically when Rogue tries to build up all these small little advantages, the lackeys are so good on tempo to fight back for it.
Yeah, the Evil Genius is one of the real standout cards in this particular build of Warlock. Gives you a lot of fuel for your Grim Rally. It's just a lot of fuel for your carpets.
Right.
And now Muzzy setting up a board that is powerful against that tempo play we mentioned of Languagehacker trying to Violet Teacher into Coin Fan. Miscreant is a draw for Languagehacker. He could prep Fan into Miscreant, or prep into Miscreant, and then possibly Fan, possibly play something off of an Ethereal Lackey. He does have the Witchy Lackey as well in order to get a 4-drop off this Miscreant.
Right. Two
Faceless, which are good, but are much worse when you're behind a Magic Carpet.
Yeah. Not to mention that, he still has to deal with the board. He can't clear off all these small minions.
And slightly awkwardly, this Fan of Knives does mean he's putting damage on the Magic Carpet, which makes Backstab worse at giving you tools to deal with it.
Right.
And Languagehacker is not playing a Raiding Party Waggle Pick deck. He has neither card in his deck, so the damage to actually kill.
Good sequence, just in case he gets spell
throwback
damage.
to last game.
Yeah. +2 attack. Now they need to Togwaggle, though. Those Faceless Lackeys can be really useful if the game gets them. It's a big if, because the Magic Carpet seems like it can continue to do big plays here.
Yeah, the 6 health in Magic Carpet makes it very difficult to remove in the early turns.
Yep.
Languagehacker, incidentally, does have one interesting tech card in his deck in the form of Betrayal.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We talked about that.
Yeah, he specifically wanted Betrayal because he thought that Token Druid would be pretty popular, and he thought that that was a very powerful way to give him the ability to deal with multiple minions at once for cheap, which is something that obviously a Miracle-style rogue deck is interested in. Also, incidentally, is powerful against the Conjurer Mage, and makes your opponent kind of sweat when they're trying to figure out how to position their minions.
Yes. I think Muzzy, does he go wide here with just, say, the Microtech controller?
I think he wants to ensure that he doesn't... okay, interesting.
I think he just wants maximum use of his board right now.
Yeah, I'm slightly surprised he didn't want to keep one more damage off of the carpet just because of the Viscerate.
Yeah.
But maybe it doesn't matter at this point.
It's true, because I guess the Lackey Eviscerate Dagger is not like a... I guess that is a pretty impactful play. It removes most of his board. But when you see Fan of Knives, that means Microtech Controller gets a lot better.
It's true.
And yes, Languagehacker, if he uses the second Fan of Knives, would be pretty devastating for Muzzy, but then his development is stifled.
Right.
So then he can go ahead and respond to that.
All right, there it is.
And the second fan means that Grim Rally now is just going to be...
Right, and there's Backstab. Not able to backstab that damaged carpet.
Yeah.
Big deal here, down to 2.
But he does have SI.
Right.
Oh man, how important was it to shut down that Microtech controller because that Sea Giant? There's only one sap in Languagehacker's deck. Evil Genius plus a Scarab Egg. Big wide boards. Faceless Lackey comes down too.
All right, a lot of stuff. This is all of the AoE outside of Betrayal in Languagehacker's deck in the form of those two. See, shaking the head from Languagehacker. He is not happy.
Oh, I like this. I was thinking the Faceless Lackey, but you get value off. You already got a lot of value off the Magic Carpet in terms of the pressure, and then just keep the train going.
All right, that's Van Cleef. And with the Faceless Lackey, or rather with the carpet gone, Faceless Lackey into Faceless Lackey into Backstab into Van. All right. Faceless Lackey, Backstab, Van Cleef gives you a big Van Cleef.
Big Van Cleef.
Does mean that your opponent gets a lot of opportunity to get down a Sea Giant for currently 0.
Muzzy, it's like he's playing the mirror, He's got like cheap minions and the Sea Giant. Funny enough, if he had Magic Carpet, that Sea Giant would get rushed too. Shadow Bolt and Soulfire. Shriek, not nearly as good if you're playing a small token-based deck.
Muzzy can play his entire hand here, I believe. So I think that the Soulfire, has got to be pretty appealing if he wants to try and kill the Van Cleef, or frankly just kill Languagehacker. Yeah, I like the Soulfire here. You can discover another card. Looking for something else quite cheap.
Oh.
Man, there's another another.
So he has Shadow Bolt
damage.
and he has Shadow Bolt
Soulfire.
and Soulfire. He can play a Sea Giant with that.
Right. That's crazy.
That is amazing tempo.
You play minion, kill your minion, 8/8. Not in that order. Kills minion first. I think it costs 1.
Is his board full? You might have to trade
I
first.
think there's 6 in play. Yeah.
Okay, wow. Works out brilliantly.
Okay, he's going to go with the Demon Fire. Oh, this way, by taking the Demon Fire, yeah, he gets to play his other minions, too.
Oh, I like it.
Before the storm.
Imagine at the end of all that, you just get a Doomsayer.
Yeah, that's the stuff of nightmares.
Oh.
Nat Pagel with a big draw. What year is it?
Hagel delivers. All right, well, there could be a Heist Baron Togwaggle, but no lackeys. Actually, no, there is a lackey. It remains in play.
The faceless lackey.
So what are you looking for here? I feel like
Wand
with Crown you don't. Well, with Wand, like what in Language Hacker's deck right now gets him out of this? He has Sap. He can find like Sap Sprint, or like Ziliax is pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel like Crown you have to get like something so ridiculous off of Crown.
I think
this situation.
The nice thing too about Crown is it just his hand gets so good with 0 cost
That's
cards.
true.
Every
yeah.
single one of these cards have synergy.
Violet Teacher or Questing Adventurer both get really powerful with Wondrous Wand.
But it does require some setup. And if you play Wondrous Wand first, you can't play both of the SI7 agents.
It's true.
The Zerich Crown does give you a chance for like a big legendary impact, but remember the legendary minions for Rogue aren't exactly very board centric. You have Myra Rotspring, you have Grawl the Sharks. Like these aren't cards that are going to do the biggest immediate board impact.
And I wonder from Muzzy's perspective, like he could have killed the lackeys there. He knows that there's Iceberg and Togwaggle in Language Hacker's deck.
Or maybe he wants him to. I don't know. Well, I don't know if you want him to, but maybe he's willing to do that to concede some tempo or concede a little bit of the board, but to make him fill up his mana playing a 5/5. He's got 17 damage this turn. Oh, sorry, what am I
15.
counting? 15.
17, including the damage he dealt to himself with Life Tap.
Yes.
There you go. I got your back.
He can do up to 17 damage this turn.
Player agnostic.
And I guess the evaluation is whether or not Muzzy, is there any credit to him trading whatsoever? Obviously, the Sea Giant should go phase. I think it's whether or not he wants to utilize things like his 3/2 or his 3 attack minions to trade Toggle.
I think he's going. He's getting them. Yeah, it's a lot of damage. And
it's a hard board to deal with.
It is. It is.
And Wondrous Wand has to do exactly that.
Okay.
Interesting enough, I think he'd rather have that off the draw of the Wondrous Wand, but
well, yeah, just gonna go ahead and
Still
wand
good.
here. Yeah. Fire it up.
yeah, I think he's gonna Wand, Viscerate, SI.
Akio nuts.
Miscreant is okay. Prep is
Preparation sprint.
that seems okay, but Sprint's just gonna draw more costed stuff.
Yeah, and
His mana slot is extremely limited right now, just 5.
prep eviscerate into the sprint.
Still needs more.
Right. Betrayal. Look at the positioning played around Betrayal.
Oh my goodness, you are correct. He played around Betrayal.
He did it.
Oh, nice. A second Eviscerate. That's
Yeah.
big.
Oh, this
now
is-
he can
this is
clear
really
off almost
big.
everything. Trade into the 3/3, SI the 2/2.
Oh, up to no good. Me too.
Big plays from Language Hacker.
That wand doing a lot of work.
All right. I mean, 2 power survives on the board no matter what he does.
And Witchy Lackey. That gives him Bog Chaper. Whoa.
Juggler.
Okay. Juggler number 2.
But it's not the 1-drop.
And he has no way to break the egg right now.
Yep.
Wow, this game turned around on the back of that Wondrous Wand so quickly.
There you go.
And let's look back. Muzzy left the lackey up. He killed 2 minions.
Yes, you're right.
And that is the only reason Language Hacker had the opportunity to Heist Baron Togwaggle that turn, and it is only because of Wondrous Wand the Language Hacker's in this game.
Yep. That being said, Muzzy still has outs. That Soulfire, I believe, was discovered. off of the Ethereal Lack.
True.
He still has 1 copy remaining in his deck, and he has Juggles. It seems like he's not going to win the board anymore from this point on. Playing things like Magic Carpet would just solely be to stall for a little bit of time.
I mean, I think his best plan may just be go face.
Go face, play the Magic Carpet.
Yeah, hope to play the Magic Carpet to try to force your opponent into an awkward position. Maybe, okay, go for the Juggler and the Carpet.
Oh, that's a big juggle.
It is. There is a Ziliax still in Language Hacker's deck.
Yes, actually.
He has Bog Shaper in play. Each of these spells draws him a minion from his deck. That's Ziliax.
Oh, that's a Ziliax off the top with the Shadow Step.
And with Togwaggle Scheme. Put 2 Ziliax in my deck.
Woo! Is that too much to come back from?
Draw another minion.
More minions.
There are 2 Ziliax in 7 cards.
I think in Language Hacker's mind,
and a Ziliax in play.
He wants to keep his Bog Shaper to increase the chance of drawing Ziliax, but he also can just put out an 8-mana minion.
This is a pretty good minion here for what he wants. If he draws a spell, becomes a minion. If he draws a minion, well, there's a good chance it's a Ziliax.
Right, he also has 7 cards left in his deck, so it's a fairly high concentration.
Yeah, okay. Nat Pagel, you're fired. Ooh, that is very interesting. 7 life for Language Hacker.
Man, this is a tap for Muzzy.
Finds Direwolf Alpha.
Direwolf Alpha.
Ziliax just still on the board. This game turned around so quickly.
I wonder.
You see Muzzy trying to find any way that he can win this game, but without that Soulfire, without Juggles going face, I don't see a way. He needs to somehow juggle down Ziliax and get damage to the face here.
Right. It would have to be specifically Knife Juggler, hitting the...
And then there's a Berserker.
Yeah.
Does that kill you?
I don't think he has much of a choice to think about this.
He doesn't.
I think he goes here. I think he Grim Rallies at the end of it. Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, it is. Doesn't have much time.
I think he's thinking about trading into
All right, he's going to trade it. He's going to kill it. It does mean that Language Hacker gains 3 more life.
Oh,
that is an angry Berserker.
Oh, man. This is looking bad.
There's 15 damage.
Each trade
16,
is
17. 1. Oh, God. Another Ziliax, too.
There's got to be like some kind of lethal opportunity here.
Ziliax plus SI.
So if you trade the 1/1, you get +2 damage. So that's 10.
Mm-hmm. And you can 12, attack 14, into something 16. With your dagger to get more damage. I think it is.
Yeah. You just have to go face with everything now and just double SI. Language Hacker. After that first game loss, with crazy swings back and forth, is going to be able to take the lead. And Muzzy's Zoo deck, we were wondering whether or not Control Shaman was going to be able to get through. Zoo Warlock is struggling.
Yeah, and we've had some pretty crazy games so far in this series. Of course, that very first game was really incomparable, but that game really was pretty remarkable from Language Hacker with the turnaround thanks to Heistberry Togwaggle deck. And his Hunter deck was responsible for all of his losses in his first match. He is 0-3 so far in games with Hunters. So, in this match, something's got to give.
Yeah. And again, we're like one of those things where it's very surprising because Zoo Warlock is very solid. It's the problem, I think, is these really small decision-making that could or could not have cost Muzzy. And, the more we think about it, that Togwaggle was so swingy. It's hard not to tunnel in and think, what if he traded that 1/1? But, at the same time, I can totally understand Muzzy pushing damage because had he not traded that 1/1, he wouldn't be in the position to get Soulfire for lethal.
Yep.
So it's like all these little trade-offs that you have to evaluate as a Zoo player, which makes it a tricky deck.
Absolutely. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this matchup is one that over the course of the weekend we have, by and large, seen the Zoo tend to win.
Right.
When we have seen the Hunter win, it has typically been in the back of a Scavenging Hyena, either an early Scavenging Hyena following up Spring Paw or Shimmerfly, or a sort of mid-game Hyena that gets huge very quickly thanks to Unleash the Hounds. And there is a Hyena draw for Languagehacker.
It's specifically to UAE, who just kept winning, like this matchup in particular. Second Hyena, something to consider. Unleash the Beast, very good against a lot of mid-range decks. Zoo, that has a lot of token summons, not nearly as good. And Mark Shot is in that same boat. It can remove, but it's not exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, spending 2 mana, spending 6 mana to kill a 1-drop, not very exciting, right?
I do like the restraint from Languagehacker, not immediately just trying to play for the board. He has the coins, so he can play things such as Spring Paw, Coin Hunt, Head
He's going
Hunter's
to take the Mark Shot.
Yeah, I was kind of leaning towards a second Hyena, but I think he needs some utility in his hand in case something big just pops up, like a Magic Carpet, and he just can't answer it.
He does have the possibility of combining Mark Shot with Headhunter's Hatchet over a turn to take down a Magic Carpet, which I think is one of the things that's probably on his mind here. He is sort of in a weird spot that he can't just play out his Hyena here without risking it dying, considering he just lost the other one. If he does feel that's a core element of his ability to win this matchup.
No, it's a good point. This is something that we were alluding to earlier. A lot of hunters, when you're playing a board aggression matchup, you don't want to just play Spring Paw turn 1 and let it die. You want to get to activate the Headhunter's Hatchet for that third piece of damage. Oh, that's not how it works.
All right, he's going to use the Headhunter's Hatchet and coin to get it online with Spring Paw. Ooh, Micro Tech is the draw for Muzzy here, along with the Carpet, though.
Yeah, I think Carpet here does make sense. Your opponent just used the coin, so Languagehacker, I believe, plays 2 Mark Shots, correct?
Yes.
So you still have a turn where you can kind of get away with Magic Carpet buffs, and it slows any development that they want to do. And Languagehacker, in response, can actually just play Master's Call here.
Yeah, with the Microtech controller, he knows that there's a Lynx in the hand. The threat of Unleash is, of course, there as well. Unleash the draw for Languagehacker.
Yeah, so now Unleash the Hounds, that is such a big pickup here for Languagehacker. And Muzzy, in response, either has to Grim Rally or have a Voidwalker to get in the way.
Yeah, look at Muzzy's hand. This is why we have seen specifically the Hyena plus Unleash be so powerful. And there's a Timberwolf, too. All right, Languagehacker deciding, do I want to soften up this Magic Carpet?
Yes, and the Magic Carpet dying is going to be such a big deal because that denies Muzzy's ability to easily answer the Scavenger Hyena on turn 5. Right. So this is going to be a very swingy game. Grim Rally picked up.
Grim Rally is big, but there's a Timberwolf in Languagehacker's hand. Thanks to the window he had to play Master's Call, Timberwolf plus Unleash means that even Grim Rally with a bunch of 2/2 minions is not really good enough.
It's not good enough, but it does delay the turn from Languagehacker to be able to utilize Unleash plus Scavenging Hyena. He can answer, but he can't develop big. And now also, if I'm Languagehacker, I'm kind of evaluating if I want to even give my opponent one more turn. Because if you give him one more turn, the development behind this Grim Rally Microtech controller combo is massive. Every single mana crystal is extremely valuable here. And that is why when you say like, oh, Unleash went from 2 to 3 mana back in the day, not that big of a deal. It's like, it's a huge deal.
Yep, Marked Shot. Another Master's Call is available. A Deadly Shot and a Rat Trap. Rat Trap's actually weirdly good against Zoo because they do tend to play out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
They have a lot of minions. You have a full hand, and you just run your second Master's Call. I think if I'm in Languagehacker's shoes, I might be leaning it toward the Rat Trap.
Yeah, you already have a Master's Call in hand. You don't need a second copy or
and you've already played one,
right? In fact, you might not even have enough Beast even draw at that point because a lot of these 100 decks are dependent on Dire Frenzy to help give them that Master Call synergy in the late stages of the game.
There has to be some thought given, and I was going to say, toward the Deadly Shot due to Sea Giant, right?
Right.
You have Unleash. Deadly Shot gives you away if you unleash the board away. You have a Deadly Shot for a Sea Giant as well.
So now Muzzy is in that spot. How do I best play around that Unleash the Hound situation? And I think you actually just destroy one of your Microtech controller bots that come out. So that way you restrict the amount of hounds, and then you just simply go face with everything. Force your opponent in a bad position. If they do play Scavenging Hyena, you have Direwolf Alpha plus a bunch of tokens to help clean everything up.
Yeah. And
redevelop behind Microtech control.
Yeah, and you do put them in a position where they don't have the opportunity to do what what we're talking about. The Hyena as well. You basically have to have Unleash plus Timberwolf to clear off enough. And frankly, you have a lot of things that are still surviving as well.
And then on Language Hacker's side, how do you best respond to this? I mean, this is tricky. But Language Hacker has played some of these positions to come back and swing the board immaculately. I mean, he's been going for the swings, but this is like Zoo's game-ending push. They're trying to win in the next 2 turns.
Well, there is Unleash, Timberwolf, and the Lynx still. So there's 6 possible attackers for Language Hacker. 7 if he doesn't want to give them +1. I assume he does, considering there's a bunch of 2 health minions on the board. So
I think he has to go for the Timberwolf.
Language Hacker can kill everything but the Scarabag here. And he certainly doesn't want to kill the Scarabag and put more stuff up.
Right. And that's still problematic in itself because Muzzy can just immediately redevelop. But Muzzy's going to be relieved to see that no Scavenging Hyena comes down, which means no auto-win.
That's the key thing, is that based on this pressure, Muzzy has been able to force Language Hacker to use this removal prior to the ability to pair it with that Hyena. And, just killing your board, okay, it's unfortunate, but kill your board, have a 12 power minion, that's a lot worse.
Yeah. Language Hacker absolutely should be thinking about Sea Giant, and right now there's 6 minions on the board, which means Sea Giant costs, 4 mana?
Interesting.
Utilizing a weapon swing. Oh, is he? Okay, I think he's baiting the Sea Giant so he can Deadly Shot for tempo. Oh, no,
but he
still
can't do that. Sorry. I'm kind of confused why he chose to use his weapon, because it feels like there's a lot of things that you'd rather have your weapon against.
He wants to play the Hyena next turn, so I think he wants to keep a minion on board to leverage Hyena, Direwolf Alpha, and the Spirit Paw plus the Lynx. That's 6 mana. That helps him swing the board, and assuming there's no Sea Giant developed, he should be okay. In fact, that actually works really well against Microtech Controller if Muzzy didn't pick up the Knife Juggler. I just saw that.
Yeah, the Juggler, he's not going to juggle, though.
If Muzzy just plays Microtech Controller, he could be in a world of hurt, but does not choose to do that.
Oh, goes face.
Well, he's going to clean up the Timberwolf.
Yep.
That was the 1 out of 3 option there.
Yeah, now...
oh, my goodness!
Oh, wow. Wow.
Hold on.
Big draw for Language Hacker. He doesn't quite have enough mana to play Hyena, Direwolf plus Unleash. But he can play Direwolf, attack... no, because the Juggler's there.
Yeah, you just play the Spring Paws.
So you don't Unleash here. You don't Unleash at all. You just play the Spring Paws, kill everything else.
And the fact that it's 4 health is pretty big, and the fact that that jungle didn't hit is also just really massive here. So Muzzy now needs extra change. Evil Genius.
Okay.
It's a good pickup.
It is, but
it might be exactly what Muzzy needs to swing this board.
Grim Rally. Okay, no, so he actually can kill. He can kill the Hyena now. He can use Abusive Sergeant, Microtech, Grim Rally. Actually kill the Hyena, but that second Unleash the Hounds ends up punishing him pretty hard because he has to use the Grim Rally prior to the egg breaking in order to actually kill the Hyena.
Right, and he can't kill off the Hyena and the Direwolf Alpha.
Right.
I think that looks like to be the clean play.
I mean, that's got to die. If that Hyena doesn't die, you die.
Well, when you say it like that, Kibler, can't really disagree.
Get in there and fight, maggot!
All right, there's the Grim Rally. Hyena goes down. Got a big board, but that's another big Unleash the Hounds for Language Hacker.
I'm actually... hold on. How much damage is this? No, it doesn't work that way. Because the Unleash the Hounds doesn't get the +1 buff all across the board.
Actually, he can't master... There's no more Hyenas in his deck.
There's a Timberwolf.
There is a Timberwolf.
There's a Timberwolf. There's a Tundra Rhino.
But he still doesn't have lethal with Timberwolf Unleash. He only gets... He would only get 4 more guys.
And a Shimmerfly. I think that's his last card.
Right.
Oh, and a Direwolf Alpha. Timberwolf is a really nice pickup. I mean, Muzzy knows that there's like a Lynx in the hand.
Trading first here doesn't matter because he doesn't get he hasn't enough room to get all of them anyway.
Yeah.
And there go all of Muzzy's minions here, and perhaps there goes Muzzy's hopes at doing one better and as a result the World Championship last year, because this is his last chance to win this match against Language Hacker. Second Evil Genius does not do it.
An egg here would be massive. Okay, this is still serviceable. Let's find out what the
Lackeys can do a lot.
You know, he's been offered Shriek a lot off of the Ethereal Lackeys. I think this would be a really good time for one.
Kobold Lackey and Goblin Lackey are both good here.
Yes.
Can use the Goblin Lackey, well...
Yeah, Goblin Lackey on the
Kobold
Evil Genius, and then Kobold Lackey to shut down the Direwolf Alpha.
Yeah, you Kobold Lackey the Direwolf. He still has the second Evil Genius, though. Does he need to? Yeah, he needs to play the second one, too.
I like the second one.
More Lackeys.
And now Language Hacker has an uncontested Tundra Rhino.
He does.
That is extremely scary. And in fact, if I'm Language Hacker, I think that's just what you want to do in this.
Direwolf Alpha plus Thunder Rhino lets you hit for a lot here. Kill both your opponent's minions. Attack for 5, 6, 7. Yep.
This is a lot of damage. And now Language Hacker, he can push in. He can actually push damage in this spot if he really wanted to.
Yeah, he kills us and hits for 7.
I like it.
He's deciding whether he wants to have a Lynx in his in play or a
Timberwolf. I think Timberwolf is just a little bit better.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, you can play the Timberwolf now.
Because it adds more damage.
Yeah, it actually lets it
after
get for 9. Is that right?
Muzzy is running out of time, and you know we were busy thinking about the Shaman, but now Zoo Warlock on the ropes. Is there a faceless Lackey that can pull him out? Hunter can just close it out with the hero power.
Even Millhouse Manastorm is not enough. 4/4.
Well, he could Goblin Lackey the Millhouse Manastorm. I think that'd be great in this spot.
Yeah. Solarium can dig deep. Kobold Lackey plus a Soulfire can take out that
Magic Carpet.
Thunder Rhino.
Magic Carpet is actually exactly what he needs right here, right now.
Here, Crystallizer, Voidwalker, not enough.
Faces Lackey needs something. Knife Juggler!
Oh, wow, okay. He has 5 more 1-drops he can play here, or 4 to Sea Giant.
But he can't deal with the Tundra Rhino still. He needs to, well, he can. He has Booster Sergeant and Goblin Lackey.
Yeah, he has Booster Sergeant Goblin Lackey, so he can Abuse Sergeant on...
This is interesting. I'm wondering...
He's got to move, too. All right.
Is he playing a trade-in?
I think he is. I think he has to.
Double time and double pay.
Why do you call?
All right. Well, suddenly, this game turned around so quickly with that Solarium. 7 life. I was going to say 2. Oh, God, he's dead. No.
Dude, he still has a Grim Rally opportunity here.
I think he played both Grim Rallies, didn't he?
Oh.
Zul'jin.
Zul'jin's too late, though. Mark Shot can just steal the game.
Zul'jin's not too late. Zul'jin casts Unleash repeatedly.
Well, I'm saying, if Mark Shot found Kill Command...
If Mark Shot finds Unleash here...
Or Unleash. Unleash the
Unleash
Hounds!
the Hounds!
And that is the game. That is the series. Language Hacker is going to eliminate Muzzy and move on to the deciding match of Group B.
And that match, from game number 1, it was back and forth the entire way. We saw some incredible Hearthstone, and we got 6 more matches today.
Yeah.
But this one belongs to Language Hacker.
That's right. He lives to fight on as he will continue.